Well, good afternoon and evening for some to everyone. Welcome to Health Chats Among Friends. My name is Deidre Kindred. I'm a nurse advocate, educator, and navigator. And I love bringing you reputable resources from our local communities. So tonight I get the honor of talking with Dr. Erin Ellis, and she is out of Arizona. So I am super excited for Arizona and Texas to be collaborating. So, Dr. Erin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh gosh, thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. I love doing these things. I just love teaching and advocating for naturopathic medicine, et cetera. So that's what I am. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I am licensed in the state of Arizona. I have my own practice in Gilbert, Arizona. So my own private practice. I graduated from Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine in 2017. So I've been practicing now for 4 years. But the first 2.5 years of my practice, I was working in a naturopathic urgent care, which was kind of one of its kind in North Scottsdale, which is about 40-50 minutes from where I'm at now. And but there I really learned everything that I wanted to learn, because I saw a little bit of everything. I saw pediatrics to geriatrics to acute to chronic, type illnesses, or even emergent where we had to send them across the street to the hospital. So there I learned exactly what I wanted to do and what I really didn't want to do, what didn't really light me up. And I found my passion for helping women really address their hormones, their fatigue, and help them lose weight, which most women, typically struggle with, because it's harder for us as a female community to lose weight, just because we have all of these hormones and metabolism, et cetera. So I really found my jam working there, and was like, hey, I want to do this on my own and not really do the urgent care setting. And that's what brought me out to Gilbert. And now I opened my practice in January of 2020, not really knowing that we were going to be in the middle of a pandemic in a couple months.
Goodness. Yes.
So yeah, it was a good first few months, I should say, because I wasn't completely slammed and could get my feet wet as far as, running the business. And honestly, like I didn't feel like I was affected, because a lot of people started to realize that they needed to take their health importantly. So yes. And then I quickly grew really quick. So by the end of last year, I hired on a nurse, and I have an intern, and now I'm looking for even more help as far as like admin work and administrative assistants go, virtual assistants. So I am super blessed to be able to do what I'm doing, because every day I get to help someone, and that's what I love to do. I don't know. I mean, people ask like, oh, well, you're a doctor, like you should make a ton of money. And it's like, well, yeah, I make a good salary, but I honestly don't really do it for the income. Like I do it because I love helping people, and I want to give them an answer that they deserve, because so many people have gotten terrible health care, or they've gone to the doctor and they're saying they feel like X, Y, or Z, and they've been dismissed. They've been told that they were just tired. They've been told that they're just an overworked mom, or that they're too busy. But they're like, no, like I don't feel well. And to be able to give them an answer, and know that their symptoms are real, and so that they don't feel crazy, is why I show up every day, and why I have such a passion for helping people.
That's awesome. You said so much in that, because it was while you were speaking, I was like, oh my goodness, that's another topic. That's another topic. That's another topic. But it all goes together. So for those who don't, or who have never heard of naturopathic medicine, give us a short and sweet definition for those who are not medically savvy.
So we are real doctors. That's a big thing where people don't think that we're a real doctor. So I have a 4-year doctorate degree and licensed to practice medicine. So yes, we are real doctors. There are some naturopaths, like naturopaths is a different term, and those people have certifications and things, are not licensed to practice medicine. So if you come across a naturopath or a naturopathic doctor or something of the sort, like always look up their credentials. I think you should do that with any health practitioner that you see, just because you are trusting them with your health. And I'm sure you do that as an advocate, is, making sure you're getting good care, good service, et cetera. So yes, we are real doctors. We go to a 4-year medical program similar to medical doctors. The first 2 years is all basic sciences, just like a medical doctor, biochemistry, anatomy, physiology, all of those things. And then we take our first set of boards at the end of 2 years on those basic sciences. And then the last 2 years of our education is all didactic work and like learning more about, say, like cardiology. So we have a course in cardiology. We'll learn how a medical doctor will treat high blood pressure, and then how naturopathically we can treat it, because we abide by 6 principles as naturopathic doctors. So the first one is first, do no harm. So we're going to treat the least invasive and least toxic method first, and that's usually not a prescription medication. I always like to joke, like, I don't give a pill for your ill. I'm trying to get to the root cause of what's going on, which is another one of our philosophies and principles is I'm that nagging child, like always asking why. Well, why is this happening? Like, why do you have this headache? Why do you have this stomach ache? Why do you have this rash? Like all of these things, like why? There's a reason why you have them. It's not normal. So getting to that root cause, and then giving the body what it needs. Like the body has the innate ability to heal itself. So if you give it its nutrients and then what it's missing or lacking, or fix the excesses, like you can heal yourself. We also focus a lot on prevention, and a lot of disease processes can be prevented if we know what's going on, catch it early, and give the body what it needs. And another big one is teacher. So docere is one of our principles, and that means to teach. And so I spend like 60 minutes in my first visit with each patient, and then follow-ups are about 45 minutes. And that's with me. That's not with the nurse practitioner or, maybe the physician's assistant. Like that's with the physician, because I am invested in your health and I want you to learn from me. And I teach you about your labs, what they mean, where your ranges are, et cetera. So that's a little bit about how we're different. We have technically almost the same education. We don't have to do any residencies or internships or anything like that. We can literally graduate and go out into practice, but you can do residencies. It's just not, you don't have to do them. So that's pretty, in a nutshell, like how we are a little bit different.
That's how it should be. You know, I mean, medicine is controversial. It's in itself. So speaking of controversy, do you guys run into a lot of, oh, I'd rather go to a real doctor? People say some of the cruelest things without having the knowledge behind it.
Exactly. I mean, yes, I think that comes with any profession. But that I don't, that's the thing. I get a lot of kickback from that. Not really actually that, but more of like the insurance realm. It's like, oh, I would rather go to a doctor that takes my insurance. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't get anywhere with them, like, you know where to find me, because we're not really recognized by insurance yet.
That is so strange right there, because I was on a call with a couple other physicians, and insurance runs medicine, not the physicians.
I know.
And so, to hear somebody say that, it's like, I'd much rather go to a physician who understands that maybe he doesn't take insurance, and maybe he has some type of a agreement to work out, because we don't take insurance either, because we don't want to be regulated by, you can treat this, but you can't treat that. You know? So it's another topic that we can table for another discussion, but I wanted to really delve into who you are and about your practice and everything, because I wanted to ask, so functional medicine and your naturopathic, so is there a big difference?
Not a whole lot. A lot of chiropractors like will add on functional medicine, or medical doctors will add on functional medicine. So it's kind of very, very, very similar. We think along the same lines. The schooling is a little bit different. But yeah, it's very like we think the same for the most part.
Right. Yeah. Because it's so funny, because private advocacy, functional medicine, naturopathic medicine, everything is like coming into fruition for all these wonderful services that look at the whole person. And I'm so passionate about that, because a lot of people feel like their physicians don't have the time to listen to them. And these type of services, you do. You have time to look at the whole person.
Absolutely. And that's what I do every day.
Yes, I love it. I love your website, by the way. And we'll
thank you.
Give that to people before we end this call. But I wanted to ask you, so what made you go ahead and seek this particular field?
Yeah, well, my journey is pretty interesting. So I grew up wanting to be a trauma room surgeon. So I always wanted to do something medical related. but then quickly gave up on those dreams because I didn't want to be in school for a million more years. Just like probably any other kid, they just want to get out of school because that's all we know is when we get older is you go to school and then you go to college, or you go to high school and you go to college, etc. And so I kind of gave up on those dreams. And when I graduated from Arizona State in 2002 with a degree in business, so kind of flipped that whole thing. But I did get my degree and then worked in the bars and restaurants for many years as restaurant management, etc. So I have a lot of people skills under my belt from that, which I think everyone should serve or work in a restaurant sometime in their life so they can understand what that's like. And then in 2010, I was handed a nice cancer diagnosis. I had a rare form of cancer. I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I had a tumor by my bladder. And the type of cancer I had accounted for only 2% of all non-Hodgkin's lymphomas, and it was typically found in older men. So I was 31 at the time, female, with really no idea why this was in me, but I took it like, took the bull by its horns and beat the living crap out of cancer. It had no chance. I was diagnosed on February 4th and I was deemed cancer-free on July 16th. So 6 months later, and now still 11 years later, I am still cancer-free and I plan to continue that. So that's pretty much the pivotal moment in my life. Like my life was turned upside down. I still question like why that happened, but instead of going why why woe is me, I look at it now as like, this happened to me so that I can do this today, because I learned so much about health and wellness that I didn't understand, or not that I didn't understand, I just didn't know. I was very naive to it. I didn't know how important water was. I didn't know how important vegetables were. I never would eat vegetables because I lived by myself and they would just go rotten in the fridge. So I just didn't eat them, but I didn't really realize like how important they were. Little things like that we kind of just take for granted. And so after this diagnosis, like shortly after that, I had met a naturopathic doctor and I still knew nothing about the field at all. And I'm sure there's people out there listening this is new to them too. And when she started talking to me, I was like, wait, what do you do? And I didn't want her to stop talking. I was like, this is fascinating. I'm like, you mean I can go to school and become a doctor and be able to help people feel better and not give them like all of this medication and make them maybe feel worse and really get to the root cause and all of this. And then she tells me there's a school in the same state. Like there's only 7 or 8 naturopathic schools in the US and Canada, and there's one in my state. I'm like, this is a sign that this is what I need to do. And awesome. Sure enough, like I went there and I met with an advisor, and I really, really only needed 2 classes to get in because of all of my pre-med from when I wanted to be a trauma room surgeon transferred. I'm like, okay, here we go, another sign. And sure enough, I did those prereqs. I took a couple more classes just to get my brain fresh because it had been a long time since I had been in school. And I started medical school in 2013 and graduated 2017.
Oh, that is an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that. I love that because it's always a story behind the reasoning. Yeah. So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Yeah.
So you're in what part of Arizona?
I'm in Gilbert. So I'm in it's like southeast of Phoenix.
Okay.
So I'm not southern Arizona. I'm in Phoenix metropolitan area, but like southeast.
Wonderful. Is it hot there? I know it's hot.
Well, we just had 3 random, very odd days of rain. So it's probably Texas humidity. We have 89% humidity now today, which is disgusting out. And it's now back in the high 90s. So for July, it's actually not too bad. But yes, it's been very hot.
So I'm going to talk about, tell me about some of your programs, because I went to your website and it's very informative, but, let me revamp that. Give me a typical story. I know sometimes there's no typical story, but walk me through a client that you can think of through their journey with you, from start to continuum, because it should be a continuum.
Yeah. So typically like the patient will find me however they find me. I'm very active on social media or even just referrals or things like this. They hear about me through podcasts and media like this. And then they book their initial visit with me. So it's tricky because I'm only licensed in the state of Arizona, so I can't really practice medicine outside the state. However, I can act as a health coach or a wellness consultant and provide more education. So I do telemedicine. I'm not really, I'd rather see the patient in an office because I know there's a lot that we can do and I want to give them that really good health care. So being able to use my license is what I like to do. So they meet with me for 60 minutes. And then since I do a lot of women's hormones, like, and most women come to me with terrible periods or whatever the case may be, usually that will get their labs timed with their cycle. So I like to draw in the last half of their cycle. If they're not menstruating, then we just draw whenever. So then they go and get their labs done, and then they'll come back and we'll meet together again, and we go over all of their labs one by one, like exactly what they mean, why I ran them, where you are in that range. Like you might be normal, but you might be on the high end or the low end. So we go through them each one by one, and then I give them a customized treatment protocol with dietary recommendations, lifestyle recommendations, supplements that their body needs based off their labs, and then, you know, prescription medications if indicated and necessary. However, the prescriptions I write on a daily basis are hormone replacement therapy and thyroid medication, which is usually often indicated. And then like we follow up in about 3 weeks. I'll send them a message, my team will send a message and ask how they're doing, if they're, you know, feeling better, et cetera. And then usually I like to get retested about 3 months later, just to make sure everything's working right as far as the protocol goes, and see if we can streamline anything. And then, you know, it could be 4 to 6 months after that. It just depends on the patient and what we're actually doing for them. But that was one thing that I wanted to really pride myself on in this practice, was not letting patients like slip under the cracks or like feel like they got lost or that I didn't care about them, which I don't think they think that. But I feel like by not communicating and reaching out to them and asking them like how they're doing every once in a while, that's just something that I like to do, so I can give good care. So I do have, like, on my website, which is probably what you were seeing, is yes, you can see direct one-to-one visits with me. However, I have like, I will be developing like a big course that will be self-paced for anyone really that can go through to help balance their hormones. I do have a period course out. It's out right now, and I know that this won't air for a while, so it might be evergreen. It might be ready by then. So I encourage you to go to my website and look for it. But that's like helping you balance your hormones or learn really what goes on during your cycle, because there's so many women that don't even know what happens and how you can eat for your cycle, work for your cycle, work out for your cycle. Like there's all of these things in there. And then I have a healthy habits foundation course, which anyone can have. It teaches you 5 healthy habits that if those aren't in check, we're not going to be healthy. So if anyone wants to start anywhere with their health, it would be do this program. It's very easy, but I bet you'll learn a lot. You'll feel better. You'll gain some energy, and you actually might lose a few pounds if you do some of the things in there. So those are the things that I have available right now, but I'm always doing master classes. I want to do more of those, which is just free education, free Facebook group where I post content. And then of course, social media, I'm super active on.
That's awesome. Well, we may have to have you back, like when those programs are implemented or however. Let's just keep in touch. And then that way, when you're getting ready to launch a program or you've already launched it and it's going and we want to get the word out. So I'm happy to have you back.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yes. So one final question.
Of course.
So nutrition. I think is key, the number one thing that we can do for ourselves. So I saw you had a meal program.
So yes, I do have a link on my website for meal plans, and that those are crafted by my health coach that I work with. So she has actually developed all them. I just love them so much that I put them available on my site, and anyone can buy those. But there's like the 4-week allergy friendly one is my favorite one. And it doesn't mean that you have to have an allergy, but it takes out all of the inflammatory foods that could be causing some food sensitivities in you. But yes, nutrition is probably like the one thing I can talk till my whatever like hair comes out, because it's so important. And there's every day I find someone that doesn't understand something about what I said, and I teach them something. And for me, I feel like it's like, how did you not know this? But then I have to remember that I was them at one point too, and I didn't know that.
Oh my goodness.
So, and there's not like the standard American diet, like you're getting very little nutrition, and you're not getting essential vitamins and nutrients, And even if you're not eating the standard American diet and you're eating a plant-based diet, you're still not getting enough vitamins and minerals just because of what we've done to our soil and our crops and such. So that's why still getting your labs checked and making sure that everything's in balance is key.
Right. You are so right. Oh my goodness, so many topics that we could talk about, because that's another thing that I harp on is your labs, knowing your numbers and knowing your trends. And
Yeah,
a lot of people like, oh well, I had my labs checked in 2009 and I haven't kept
I
up with
know.
them. And and I tell people all the time, I said, if you can see a trend, if you are educated or get educated from your physician, which you are one of the few that takes the time to go over them,
Right.
being able to know, okay, I can see something coming, or I can see something improving, or I can see something worsening.
Yeah,
That,
absolutely.
yeah, and making
Yep.
a plan to, either if it's great, continue. There's always room for improvement.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then
Nobody's
if it's
even
not,
my labs need improvement.
I, yes, but we're not talking about us today. But yes, absolutely, absolutely. You have so many wonderful services. So just to reiterate, you
Yep.
are licensed to practice in Arizona,
Yep.
but you can be a health coach outside of Arizona.
I can. Yeah. It's just more of like a wellness consultant. So
Okay.
I encourage or require the person in a different state. Well, it depends too. Like if we're in a licensed state for naturopathic medicine, like if they reside in that state, then I will likely refer them there. Like California's got a ton of naturopathic doctors.
Okay.
So I would rather refer them to a colleague there so they can get the help they deserve. But yes, I can help. I just would rather meet with, the patient
Right.
face to face and
Right.
off.
Yeah. And there's nothing like it. I know COVID has geared us toward a process of virtual, and
Yep.
virtual's okay
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
don't
I
have,
do. I
when
do
you
virtual
can't, yeah, when you
follow-ups
can't.
all the time.
Right,
Yep.
right. Yes, yes. But then you've met them face to face
Yeah.
already. So it's a little bit easier to, because you know that person. Well,
Right.
I
Sure.
love your service. I love what you're doing. I love your way of making sure you connect with people and keep the communication lines open, because that is where it counts
Yeah.
most. Yes. Well, thank you for your time. So, if someone wanted to find out more about what you do and your services in
Yeah.
and out of the state of Arizona, what is the best ways, because you can use more than one, to get in contact with you?
So the best way where you can find all the links would be to go to my website at hopenaturalhealth.com. So that's where you can find the links to all my social media. I am Dr. Erin Ellis on Instagram. Very active on Instagram. I have my Facebook group. You can find the links to that on the website. And I also, by the time that this is out, my podcast will be live, and it's called Hope Natural Health. It should be launching here in the next couple of weeks, but by the time your podcast comes out, it will definitely be out there. So go on all major platforms, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, all of them, and search for Hope Natural Health, the podcast, and you can find me there.
Awesome, awesome. And please visit her website. It is a wealth of knowledge, whether you're in or out of the state of Arizona. It is well worth your time.
Good.
Well, thank you, Dr. Erin Ellis, for your time. This has been wonderful. I learned something every time I talk to someone.
I bet.
Yes. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Health Chats Among Friends. My name
Thank
is
you
Deidre.
so
Oh, thank you. My name is Deidre Kindred. I'm a nurse advocate, educator, and navigator. And my joy is bringing you reputable resources from our local communities. Tune in next time for another amazing chat with another amazing guest.
Thank you.